Hello, it is Wednesday, March 21st. Welcome into another edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Tevin Wooten.
I'm student meteorologist Sydney Welch, and the sunshine is getting us through our week. We're halfway through now, and that sunshine will get us the rest of the way through this week.
Absolutely. Today, the first full day of spring. Yesterday, we sprung forward or started the first moments of spring at 12:15 Eastern Time. Today, we woke up and it was spring, and it felt certainly like spring. A lot cooler. A lot cooler
and clear skies. Those clear skies, you're looking at flowers beginning to bloom, the
right.
sun coming out.
The pollen.
Okay, we're talking about the positives here. We don't need to bring up pollen yet. But yeah, everyone sneezing in class was another way we knew we were greeting spring.
Certainly greeting spring. It was also windy on a Wednesday today.
Yeah, it was extremely windy. We had a wind warning last night until 11 p.m., but those winds have persisted into our day. I mean, I know that this doesn't apply to Tevin, but us ladies with our hair, we have to keep our hair up when we go outside because it's really just been blowing all around.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tevin.
I don't have to worry about it. I think that's a plus for me, right?
Oh, definitely a plus for you. But for us girls, hair going up while getting to class and then pull that right out of the ponytail once I get there.
A lot of dry conditions. The farmers have to, or not farmers, but anyone burning has to worry about, wildfires quickly spreading because of the dry conditions and high winds. So.
Yep, that's what we're coming to in spring, and that is a problem we come to most spring. So we'll definitely be touching on that throughout the show. As for right now, we're going to take it over to Megan for a little peek at what's going to go on in the show.
Thanks, guys. And Tevin, I think your hair looks great. I don't know what Sydney's saying. It looks excellent. So spring has sprung, and it definitely felt like it today. We had a bit of a cool off, but the key was we had beautiful skies today. This is a live look outside of our Pensacola Street garage here in Tallahassee. 65 right now, mostly sunny out there. Gusts were peaking into the upper 20s at 28 miles an hour today, so still breezy for us, but a beautiful start to spring. Our radar showing us the past hour in the Big Bend region felt very clear. Really no cloud coverage, absolutely no rain in the entire region, so looking very nice today, and it's going to continue to look nice. Let's look at the whole state of Florida. Same story here. You can see Tampa, Tallahassee, all the way down to South Florida. They are just staying clear. It's a beautiful Wednesday for us in Florida. Tonight's forecast, we're going to dip down into the 30s, struggling to reach those 40s really. St. Mark's there at 41, Tallahassee just hitting 40. Perry a little bit cooler at 39, Monticello right there with them at 39. So tonight's going to be a bit chilly. Break out those sweaters that you probably put away already, but spring is here. Temperatures are getting a little cooler. As for the rest of the show, clear skies is the story for the rest of the week. Rain is out of the way. Much cooler temperatures are going to be brought in with those clear skies. This weekend it's going to be a bit warmer though, so make some outdoor plans. We got nice skies, clear conditions, warmer temperatures. It's going to be a beautiful week. Midterms are over. Just have a relaxing week after spring break. It's going to be a beautiful start to your April as well. Late May, early April looks beautiful. So we're going to send it back to the desk. Me and Alyssa are going to talk about some conditions that aren't so nice. Tallahassee is sunny and clear, a little bit warmer, but they can't say for the rest of the Northeast is not the same as us.
Right, looking at that nor'easter towards the north, it's really unloading all of that snow towards New England. All those areas are seeing tremendous amounts of snow. There's a picture right now showing exactly how much snow they're going to be seeing. Yeah. Actually, probably more than that.
Yeah, that's in Washington, D.C. You can see there in the nation's capital right now getting pounded with snow. Wow, look at those bikes. You wouldn't want to sit on that bike.
No, got to definitely wipe that down first. You're going to freeze your butt.
So inches of snow throughout all New York City. These big towns, they're used to this kind of stuff. Nor'easters hit, but sometimes they hit even harder than normal, as
yes,
you can see
and they're calling it the Winter Storm Toby, and this will continue to hammer the Northeast going into Thursday.
Yeah, snow and heavy spots will also persist in the Ohio Valley and the Appalachians, so really just a very broad region is going to be experiencing these extreme conditions. A lot of people get snow days, miss school, miss work, so it's kind of serious up there.
It really is, and parts of Baltimore metro area has seen 2 to 5 inches of snow.
That's crazy. I mean, I've only seen like a little bit of snow. Tallahassee, we got snow earlier in the year, just a bit. Nothing 2 to 5 inches. That's crazy.
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, so I'm used to snow. I was used to growing up walking to class with snow up to my knees with boots. So.
Oh no, you would not catch me in that. That's way too cold. But yeah, so hopefully everyone up there stays safe. I know they're prepared for this kind of weather. That happens every year. We get these strong nor'easters, but very strong this year. So.
But nothing we need to worry about down here. We're seeing really nice temperatures in the upper 60s, possibly reaching 80s going towards the end of the week.
Yeah, it's going to be really nice. Tonight's going to be a bit cool, though. It's kind of like bipolar weather. I mean, it's cool, and it's the 80s this weekend, so, just got to have a very versatile closet when you live in Florida.
Right, and we have our basketball game tomorrow.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So just beautiful weather and awesome things to do this week in Tallahassee. It's good to be back.
It is great to be back.
And we're going to send it back out to the wall with Sydney for a local look at our weather. Thanks, guys. Here in Florida, we can be thankful that this is what our spring, the beginning of spring, is looking like for us. Clear skies, no snow, because I'm here with Alyssa. I'm from the north, and I'm glad that we didn't get to have to see that snow to greet us in our spring. As for current temperature, 65 degrees with that sun. I mean, a few clouds came by into our day, but mostly sunny skies. There is a lot of focus on this wind, though, because it's gusting up to 30 miles an hour, so that is causing some turmoil on our coast and in the Gulf. So as we go into our wind speed, look at this around the region. 23 degrees in Monticello, 22 in Thomasville, and a little bit lower in St. Mark's and Tallahassee at 14 and 18. But there are double red flag warnings across the entire coastline, so there is no getting in those waters, although it is kind of chilly, so I don't really know who would necessarily want to get in the water in 60-degree temperatures. 63 in Thomasville, 65 in Tallahassee, and 65 in Apalachicola currently. So taking a look at those dew points to accompany those temperatures, we are seeing dry conditions. That northwest wind is ushering in some dry air, 31-degree dew point in Tallahassee, 32 in Quincy, and 37 in Bainbridge. So we have about a 50% relative humidity, which is not making it feel very humid, and you can tell by those skies that we are seeing very dry skies and not many clouds in the region at all. Let's take a look in the future. It's going to look exactly the same as it looks now as we go into the rest of our week. So spring is going to be, the first week of spring will be extremely enjoyable, and all we're going to be potentially seeing is some pop-up showers on Monday. So let's enjoy this week. As for tonight, 40-degree temperatures. Pull out those sweaters because you're going to need to layer up as you go into tonight. If you're going to be going outside, taking a look at those stars, because the clear skies will allow for you to take a peek at those stars. If you do get outside, though, don't forget that jacket. As for tomorrow, you can keep the sweater on in the morning time, and then as you go throughout the day, take it off, because 67 for St. Mark's and 67 for Tallahassee. Most places seeing the high 60s, and down there in Apalachicola as well, still seeing the high 60s. But beaches are still going to be closed into tomorrow, so definitely keep an eye on that if you are planning on making your way out to the coast. Into our 7-day forecast, just some clouds on Friday and Sunday. Other than that, full suns for Thursday and Saturday. And Saturday, things are beginning to warm back up, 74 degrees. It looks like your beach day is going to be next Wednesday with that 79-degree temperature and lows sitting in the 40s on between Saturday and Sunday, too. It's ramping up to 59. So beautiful day going into our weekend. But as for right now, we are going to zoom back out with a look around the southeast. Dylan, what you got to say for us?
Well, it's looking pretty good around the southeast, though we want to start off with some watches and warnings. You see this green over here, that's a flood warning down in Louisiana and Mississippi, so they have some floods. Next to that, though, this light blue is a frost advisory that sticks into tonight. We're going to see some frost conditions possible, and these dark blues are actually freeze warnings. You're going to see temperatures that are freezing. So if you do live in this Tennessee area, the entirety of the state of Tennessee and northern Alabama, you're going to need to make sure your pipes, your plants, your pets, and yourselves are covered for these freezing temperatures, because winter is not over. Even though it's start of spring, you're going to see some really cool temperatures. On the coast, though, as Sydney mentioned, we have some red flag warnings. And over in the state of Georgia, they're actually seeing some red flag warnings, some wind advisories with some windy conditions just past this front. As we look at the entire region, cooler temperatures are affecting the eastern part. You see 49 in Atlanta, but back behind the front, things are still kind of warm. 70 in Shreveport, 69 in New Orleans. So nothing too crazy. We're not getting those cool temperatures, but you can really see where that front is down in Florida. Down over by Miami, you got 78, and behind that front, 65 in Orlando. So cool temperatures, but front has made its way through, and we're starting to feel its effect. And look at these temperature changes for the eastern part, most of the state of Florida and into South Carolina. You get 17-degree drop in Charleston, 12 here in Tallahassee, so it's 12 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. So you're seeing things a little nicer. And in Jacksonville, 13 degrees, so feeling like spring, feeling more moderate, not as hot or as intense. And dew points, it is dry. Chapstick might be in the forecast again, but it is definitely not too bad. Not feeling muggy, so you're not going to need your moisturizer, or you're going to need your moisturizer, but your hair is not going to frizzle out as much. Into that radar, staying mostly clear for the entirety of the southeast, though you see some rain showers with that nor'easter that's going to affect the northeast in North Carolina and part of Tennessee and South Carolina, but nothing too crazy for anything from Louisiana all the way to Georgia. So it's feeling nice. For futurecasts, though, things are going to stay the same as we go into the next day. So don't worry about pulling out the raincoat. Just worry about enjoying the sun and cooler temps for the next couple of days. Into tonight, Little Rock going to see 38 degrees, and you're going to see those near freezing temperatures in Tupelo and Atlanta and Montgomery. So if you are there, you want to make sure you bring your plants, yourselves, stay warm, and your pipes might be an issue, but it's not going to be too big of a factor since we're not dropping too far below freezing. For the rest of the state, though, or for the rest of Florida, though, seeing into the 40s and 50 in Tampa, so not great, not bad, but it is much cooler than it was before this front, so the front's effects are really setting in. And for tomorrow, nice temperatures, great day. It's actually going to be cooler here in Tallahassee than it will be in Shreveport, so nothing too intense, but absolutely beautiful. And for us here in Tallahassee, if you want to know the forecast again, tomorrow, clear skies and 60-degree temperatures. As we get into Friday, though, cloud cover picks up just a little bit and warms up a little bit. But into Sunday, you're going to see that warm up, and that's going to be the trend. Clear skies throughout most of the southeast and cool temps sticking around till the next rain chance. But right now, we're actually going to send it over to Jake with a report of the superstorm of 1993.
Meteorology is a science inspired in part by the destructive potential of weather. Think of a hurricane storm surge, or a derecho in the plains, or a historic northeast blizzard. Now imagine combining all of them into one storm. That perfect combination happened 25 years ago in the form of a system that many simply call the storm of the century. Whether you call it that, or the superstorm of 1993, or the no-name hurricane, it remains to this day a storm unrivaled by any other of its type. Intensity, impact, forecasting importance, all the way down to some pretty incredible satellite imagery. The superstorm formed on March 12, 1993 as the result of a stationary front located over Texas and Mexico. A burst of convection in the western Gulf, combined with a seemingly perfect combination of jet streams and other atmospheric features, was all it took for the storm to rapidly intensify in a day's time. Florida's impacts were felt early in the morning on March 13th as the cold front associated with the superstorm triggered a derecho that caused wind gusts potentially in excess of 100 miles per hour, as well as 11 tornadoes in the state. Some other impacts were felt across the entire eastern United States, where areas of the Appalachian Mountains saw up to 5 feet of snowfall, and other areas setting record amounts, such as Birmingham, Alabama, at 17 inches of snow during the superstorm. Across Florida, the impacts were severe. A 110-mile-per-hour wind gust was reported in Franklin County, as well as Tallahassee's single lowest pressure of all time at 976 millibars. This is even lower than the pressures recorded during Hurricanes Hermine and Kate. Elsewhere in Florida, a 200-foot freighter sank just off the coast of Fort Myers as a part of 100-plus boat rescues that were done by the United States Coast Guard off the coast of Florida. The superstorm was also very notable for its hurricane-like storm surge, with values up to 12 feet in some parts of the Nature Coast and Big Bend, and values in excess of 4 to 6 feet, even as close to home as St. Mark's just to our south, as well as Apalachicola. Rarely do you see storm surge like is shown here in this image just to the north of Tampa, Florida, as well as the snowfall that occurred in other parts of the southeast, as this image shows from parts of North Carolina, which saw over 2 feet of snow during the event. However, the superstorm of 1993 did just that, affecting 40% of the United States population with over 10 million power outages as a result. Professor Henry Fuhlberg at Florida State was here during the superstorm of 1993, and I got to sit down with him and get a little bit of his insight and his experience with the storm.
Well, it was quite an experience. I guess what sticks in my mind the most is that we were not expecting to have the weather as strong as what it actually turned out to be. So it was forecast that we were going to have a low develop in the Gulf of Mexico, but we didn't expect it to do so as rapidly as it did, and we didn't expect it to be as deep as it was. And I guess then the other issue is this storm caused very high tides. And so people around the Taylor-Dixie County area, they had some very high tides, and 7 or so people died from that.
This stands as a major milestone for weather forecasting, particularly in the Northeast, where forecaster-based decision support allowed for states of emergencies to be declared before any snow fell. The superstorm of 1993, even 25 years later, serves as a constant reminder of both the importance of improving weather forecast modeling and the tireless work put in by forecasters to get the word out and work with other local authorities and agencies. For FSU Weather, I'm meteorologist Jay Karstens.
Thanks, Jake, for that really informative report. As you can see, March can be a very active month. We actually have 2 major storm systems, not only on the East Coast, but on the West Coast. We'll get into that in a sec. But for now, the rest of the country is actually really very tranquil. Cooler up towards Minneapolis, where you're at 37. But look down towards Texas, where you're in the mid-70s this afternoon. So very nice conditions across the entire U.S., the exception, the Northeast, and of course, Southern California and Los Angeles. We're going to get into that in just a sec. Dew points, as you can see, are very low across the entire country because of this cold front sweeping through, giving the severe weather to the southeast this past Monday and Tuesday. But note the higher dew points there towards California. Again, that is due to that very potent low pressure system starting to make its way into the state of California. Out towards Los Angeles, you're having a lot of rain. Again, because you haven't gotten a lot of rain this winter, there is a threat for mudslides across all of Southern California. Up towards the Sierra Nevada mountains, you're looking at very high snowfall amounts, in some cases up to 5 to 6 feet of snow. Now, there are a lot of watches and warnings associated with this potent low pressure system. We have winter storm warnings up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. That's up until Friday early morning. And then down towards Los Angeles, there is a flash flood watch. That's because there's a threat for mudslides, and that area is going to receive 1 to 3 inches of rain for the most part. In some cases, there could be isolated amounts higher than that. Now, off towards the northeast, you see they are experiencing their 4th nor'eastern system of March. Very impressive in terms of how many nor'easters the Northeast has experienced just in March alone. And New York has actually gotten about a foot of snow just today. And down towards West Virginia, I saw a very beautiful picture of the Greenbrier covered in snow. Very nice picture of West Virginia covered in snow earlier today. Now, again, we have a lot of watches and warnings with this. We have a winter storm warning in the pink. You can see up towards Washington, up towards New York, and also into Boston. Washington and Philly is actually in a winter, they're in a snowfall deficit for this winter, so it's good for the snow enthusiasts. Now, there is a coastal flood warning because of all this wind coming onto the land. It's pushing the water up towards the land. So down towards Atlantic City, you have a coastal flood warning, and we also have freeze watches down towards the south because of all that colder air coming in. Now, for tonight's forecast, it's going to be very cold across the northern tier, warm across the southern tier, and then we're also going to monitor Southern California for the rain. Remember, our Seminoles are out there for the Sweet 16, and tomorrow, very warm across the Plains states. But for now, let's send it off to Alyssa with a much quieter look at Florida.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, there's a lot going on in the Northeast due to that nor'easter, but here we're staying pretty quiet here in Florida. Our temperatures are below average now that front has pushed through, leaving us with cooler and drier conditions. We're seeing here in Tallahassee 65 degrees, Pensacola 68, and looking towards Tampa, Tampa, we're seeing 65. So all across the board, we're seeing primarily in the mid 60s to low 70s. And really you can see this with the temperature change. We're seeing here Tallahassee minus 12 degrees. That's because that front pushed through, leaving us with cooler air, making our temperatures right now going into the daytime hours a little bit cooler. Gainesville minus 11, Pensacola 0, but looking towards most of Florida, you can really see the temperature changes drastically after that front push through. Including that will be our relative humidity, really honing in on how humid it is outside. And so in Tallahassee, we're seeing 28%, Pensacola at 27%, and we're looking more towards South Florida. We're seeing it around the 48 in Tampa, and Fort Myers 42%, which is pretty low for South Florida. And checking in with the radar, nothing really going on in terms of any type of severe weather. Probably really didn't see a cloud in the sky going to class today. And zooming in a little bit just to focus on the Big Bend, not much in terms of clouds going into today. And looking at watches and warnings, there is a small craft advisory going in through Thursday at 8 a.m. So if you have a boat or know anyone that has a boat, definitely don't go out on the water until this has pushed through. And taking a look at the whole state of Florida, there's a little bit going on. There is a red flag warning going on in South Florida due to those relative humidity conditions and drought. It's potential for some wildfires, as well as some wind advisories, and as well as the small craft advisory all around Florida. So a lot going on with watches and warnings. Definitely stay updated with that. Looking at tonight's forecast, we're seeing here for Tallahassee 40 degrees, Pensacola 44, and Tampa we're seeing 50. So for here in Tallahassee, we're actually below average. Our average for this time of year, we're supposed to see 48 degrees. So a little bit cooler tonight. If you have plans, definitely bring the jacket around. It won't be a bad idea. It's a little bit chilly in my opinion. But tomorrow, we're also going to be cooler conditions. We're going to see here in Tallahassee 67 degrees, Pensacola 69. And taking a look more towards South Florida, we're seeing Tampa 65 and Fort Myers 73 degrees. So all over Florida, we're seeing conditions a little bit cooler than usual. But I'm going to send it on off to the desk.
Thanks, Alyssa. So, again, I was talking about our Seminoles out in Los Angeles for the Sweet 16.
Definitely. We got our Sweet 16. We somehow made it. We beat Xavier in a fantastic upset.
Sweet revenge, as I say.
Yeah. Last year, we unfortunately lost to them in the round of 32. Yep. But this year, in the same match in the round of 32, we came back with a vengeance and won.
Yep, that was a very good comeback, especially in the last 5 minutes. Now they're off in Los Angeles to face Gonzaga, the Bulldogs.
Yes.
And as I showed in my national, it's going to be a very wet forecast
Yes,
tomorrow.
they actually have flash flood warnings currently right now out in Los Angeles. So they are seeing a lot of rain, and this is not leading for good conditions around the city.
Again, Los Angeles, they do need the rain. It hasn't been a very active winter down there, and they're actually starting to creep back into a major drought. But again, with the rain comes the threat of mudslides.
Right, they have some debris flow possible off the mountains. There were some recent burnings to stop any potential fires due to this drought, and that actually leads to possible more mudslides when you add more water. All this debris is just kind of sitting around on the ground waiting to be washed away.
Yeah, but again, that Thomas County fire, I remember back in October, that was the main reason why there's all these burn scars there, and that's the main reason for we're worried about these debris flow down towards Southern California. Yeah. But we know a lot of people are heading off towards Los Angeles for the big game against Gonzaga.
Yeah, they're going to see 62-degree temperatures with 60% chance of rain and overcast. So you want to bring your rain jacket if you're going to the game, and make sure you check with the Staples Center to make sure if you can bring an umbrella or not. Just want to make sure if you're actually heading out.
Yeah, and for those of you who are actually staying here in Tallahassee to watch the game, it's another late one, like past 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's scheduled for 10:06 p.m., but that might be changed because of the game before not ending on time.
Again, you have Michigan and Texas A&M beforehand, so who knows if it goes into overtime.
Right.
Our game will start a little later, but again, we're going to be staying up tomorrow night supporting our Noles.
Yeah, you got to root for your Noles, but right now we're actually going to send it back out to the wall for a local look.
Thank you so much, Michael and Dylan. Yes, we have a local look right now. We'll take a local look from our time-lapse camera off of the Pensacola parking deck facing towards the west. You can see Doak Campbell Stadium right there. Started out a few fair weather cumulus clouds. Now we're starting to clear out as we go throughout the day. Maybe a few passing clouds, but overall, we should have a clear night tonight, and that will allow temperatures to drop down. Partly cloudy right now, though. Again, maybe a few passing clouds. 66 degrees with winds out of the north and west. 23 miles an hour. We had gusts today up to 30 miles an hour. That should continue overnight tonight and eventually die down. Across the Big Bend, we're seeing temperatures in the mid-60s in Perry, 65 degrees, 62 for Valdosta, 63 for Thomasville and Bainbridge as well. So here's a look at the wind direction right now. We see these winds coming out of the north and west. We know they're a lot cooler than, say, from the south because they're not off the Gulf and they don't have that moisture associated with it, so it's going to be cooler from the north and west and also drier. But look how strong they are. 14 miles an hour in St. Mark's, 18 miles an hour in Tallahassee, 23 miles an hour in Thomasville. I mentioned the dew points and the dry air. Here's part of the reason why the dew points are in the low 30s right now. So it is bone dry out there. 32 degrees for Thomasville, 37 for Bainbridge. The dew point changed since yesterday. This is a 24-hour change. So this time yesterday, our dew points were 17 degrees warmer and cooling down as that cold front passed through. Now look at that, 19 degrees cooler in Perry and 12 degrees cooler in Valdosta. That will be the trend today and tomorrow before we start to get into some more moist air later on into the weekend and then next week. As for our watches and warnings, we do have a small craft advisory that is set to expire tomorrow morning along the coast, thanks to part of the high winds we're seeing, but also a wind advisory in Baker, Charleston, Clinch, Columbia, and Duval County until 8 o'clock tonight, and Sewanee County as well. So anyone outside, do not do any burning because it's A, dry out there, B, it is windy, and it doesn't take much for a fire to spread very quickly overnight tonight. As for overnight tonight conditions, the dry sky across the Big Bend, that's going to be the trend for today and tomorrow, and it will really allow us to not only cool down tonight. It's sort of like when you go to bed without a blanket, you get a lot cooler. Well, we're going to have that blanket, or we won't have that blanket tonight, and we will have those cooler conditions tonight where temperatures are in the low 40s or upper 30s, 39 degrees for Monticello, 40 for Thomasville and Tallahassee, 41 degree is the temperature tonight for Bainbridge. Tomorrow's forecast, we warm up a little bit. The wind direction still out of the north and west, so it will still be a lot cooler than, say, where we were before spring break when we were in the 70s and close to 80s. 67 tomorrow for Thomasville, or 67 for St. Mark's, Tallahassee, and Perry. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast. We're expecting temperatures, yes, to be in the upper 60s tomorrow. By Friday, breaking into the 70s, 72 degrees for Friday, partly cloudy conditions. And here's a look at your weekend. Mostly sunny on Saturday, 74 degrees, dropping down into the upper 50s Saturday into Sunday. Partly cloudy conditions on Sunday into the 80s. I like it. 82 degrees on partly cloudy skies on Sunday. A slight chance of rain as we get into next week, but we'll worry about that when we get there, girls. What do you think?
Loving that 7 day.
I love it. Beautiful start to spring. No complaints from me. That 20% is just 20%, so we can just disregard that for now.
The spring is my favorite season because of this, like because of these 7 days coming up. The sun being out and the beach days here and there, but it gets a little bit cooler still. I love it.
Yeah, and you get those lows at night, so you can bundle up and get some hot chocolate, be all sweet and stuff like that.
I think it's so funny because you're definitely a Floridian saying that.
Oh yeah, that's true, in the 40s. For all of our social media people, we have a Twitter. Follow us on Twitter if you can.
Yep, and Facebook as well. We have the same handle for everything, so if you're going to follow us on social media, just type in FSU Weather.
Of course, we're live on YouTube. Every night we go live at 6 o'clock, weeknights.
And Instagram as well. But I would say Twitter is definitely what we're most active on. So I would keep up with us on Twitter. Also, we post to social media every night on Facebook. But for now, I'm student meteorologist Sydney Welch.
I'm student meteorologist Megan Berry.
Have a great night.